So we didn't pay an exorbitant amount to buy those fields. I did a trial start yesterday just to see, what was what, and all of those fields were like plus 40%, including the farmyard. So I didn't have near enough money to actually get a going farm working. Come on. Oh, you didn't make it. That's fine. So, at least for this job, I'm going to need a windrower of some description and a loading wagon of some description. In order to ship the silage out, we've got the grain cart. I am going to need an auger to load it because we haven't gone with front loader arms. I could get the case as a tiny tractor and actually put loader arms on it and a bucket so that we could use it to load stuff. As you might have noticed, I do have the horse aggravation pack on this playthrough. I do not have the Vermeer pack added, and I do not have, hello, what happened there? The Antonio Carrera pack added. Okay, that was weird. So yesterday I tried this out with the the Valtra T. It did struggle a bit picking things up and dragging things around, so it's kind of a little bit of a problem. That cheap loading wagon, it's a little bit small, that much I will say, but we don't have far to go, so it might be an option. The case is only 99 horsepower. If I push it up to full power, that's going to be an additional cost on that. Quite significant cost on that. Engine upgrades are possibly one of the most expensive things you can do to a tractor. So if you don't have to, oops, that was wrong. I'll try not to. And I think a recent patch did result in engines are now not limited to the smallest engine. It used to be that sale equipment, all you could have was the smallest engine, so you always had to pay for a bigger one. And we kind of made a little bit of mistake on our Massey Ferguson 5S in the last series, where I paid to upgrade it to 125 and then sometimes thought I could probably have done with a 145 model. And we later, it was a used tractor, we did later get rid of it and replace it with the Class Arian, which I did put the big engine in. Not that it really ever needed it. So last week we did end up making 118 grass bales. I had to write it down just in case bales bugged out before they fermented, so I'd know how much I would need to add back into the save if I ended up having to delete all bales on the map. So for this, I'm going to be, if we do a contract or 2 or 3, we may lease the non-powered equipment to start off with. But I want to get out of leasing equipment as quickly as possible. But that could mean that I'll get a auto bale loader so that we can just quickly load them, take them off to the delivery point and dump them off. At that point, bugged bales is not really a problem because they're sitting on the field most of the time, and then what? And when you unload them, you're unloading them into a sell point, so they automatically just disappear. If you're loading them to the ground, that can be a problem. They can stick together and cause all sorts of grief. And I'm not the only one who's seen that. I was watching 2 YouTubers this week. At least one of them was on Court Farms. And the bales were very much misbehaving for him. There was a patch went live this week for Farming Simulator, but I didn't see anything in the patch notes that said, hey, we fixed the problem with the bales. So yeah, any bale equipment, I will probably just lease it for now, so that we only keep it for the duration of a contract and then give it back. Yeah. Obviously, I have found that you do not lease powered equipment for just for a contract. You will not make as much money as the rental pay or the lease payments on the vehicle is, be it a harvester, a tractor, or whatever. However, you can lease a mower, a windrower, a baler, and it doesn't take too much out of your cost of doing business. You'll make some money back. Obviously, you'll lose a bit because you're paying for the lease. But it's not like for a baling contract, you're going to be driving the tractor for the entire duration. You're going to be using the mower for a third of that. You're going to be using the baler for a third of that. So the actual hourly charge on that equipment can be quite short. And we have, I think, 3 rows including this one, and we are done. I do not have a shed for tools at this time, so we'll just be parking the tools off to the side. I did look at contracts, so there are some contracts out there. I could look at cultivating contract. I don't really want to look at harvesting contracts at this point because we don't have a car harvester. As I said, we are to rent a harvester to do a harvesting contract is just not a wise idea unless the only reason you're doing it is to get the crop. Because I need wheat, and therefore I'm going to do this wheat contract, and I'm going to lease a harvester to do it. That's not a good plan. If you're just doing it because I want to do the contract to earn money. And since we've got maize here, I'm going to be doing fresh maize. I have absolutely no plans to own a harvester this year, or before the end of this year. I also want to look, because I haven't explored much of the map. This is the only part of the map I've really looked at. There is Disturbed Simulations is doing a thing up here, so I've basically seen this part of the map, but I have not seen much of the rest of this map. So we're going to be driving around. One thing I have noted over and above Maypole is the roads seem to be wider, and the grass verges between the road and the hedgerow are wider. So there is the potential to use a semi-truck on this map, where I would have said on Maypole you're going to struggle. So we may see me with a bigger truck. And at that point, and one of the things about having a semi-truck is you can buy the truck and then you can buy the trailers, and it's a cheaper way to go than having a truck with a tank on the back, a truck with a grain cart on the back, a truck with a flatbed on the back. You can just say, I will have a semi-truck, I will have semi-trailers, and I'm a little bit more flexible. The only limit on flexibility is how many cabs I have as to how many jobs I can do. So if I need to collect bales with a truck and ship some grain to market, I'm going to have to pick which one I do first, because obviously I've only got one vehicle, or I've only got one engine to do it with. And it's Shift and B, and we turn around. No. Okay. This mower does sit a little bit low. So we do have this grass patch to our right, which is not a field, so I have no information about it at all. And then we have another grass patch over here, which is also not a field. At least I don't think it's a field. Yeah, there's no information comes up on that field or on that patch, whereas if I run over here, and I'm going to have to vault the hedge because the hedges have impacts on them. This is owned by me. It's 11 acres of grass. It's harvested. The ground is perfectly dry and we need to lime it. This area here again has a luscious pile of grass on it, no information. So we're going to have to possibly plough those up, although if I want a cow field I may want to determine which one I'm going to put the cows in. So for right now I'm going to drop this off. Next to the shed. And you have to unfold it in order to detach. There we go. Okay, so this is the English house. I do not have a fence around the back of it. If there's a door out back here. Oh, there is a back door. And then around the side. I did put a gate in here. So if I am over here and I want to come out this way, I can. But there's sort of a concrete patch here or a tarmac patch there, so yeah. Pressure washers there, diesel tanks around the back. I haven't put any diesel in it yet, and this is our maintenance workshop. We have all the things in here, so I can park equipment in here if I want to. Typically I'll be parking the tractors and the whatever. These are probably, all three bays are probably on that trigger. I'll turn on shed lights. Ooh. Now sadly I think this is a Lancy Boy shed, so last I heard he'd removed all his stuff from the mod hub, so you won't be able to, if you haven't got it downloaded, you won't be able to use it. We need to go back to this. Do we want to go back to the start? I'm going to stop this here. Okay. What do we have for sale? Series 7 TTV. 137. I need a windrower. That has potential. I also need something like that, but as I said, that is tiny. So I don't think that's going to work for us. The JCB's 50. That's 47. So this 100 horsepower. It's only 9,000 to bump it up to 117. Could put beacons on it. Left and right. Left. None. Has to be left and right for the UK. Attaches, it has a front weight. You can switch that for a 3-point for 5,000. I'd probably leave it with just the front weight. Quickie loader is fine. We could put an Azaria Pro on it. I don't know if I'd put GPS on it, and it has colour and sound. So all I would be doing would be to add that and add that. That puts it up to 57. Okay, this does not have thin wheels. That's interesting. Although doing grass, I don't really care about thin wheels. I might want wide tyres with weights. Weights would counterbalance the arms. That's pushing us up to 60,000. Okay. Meanwhile, I also need a windrower. There was the big windrower for sale. That might be good. This is cheap, though I would kind of like to play with that, but that's 91. That's ridiculous. This is 14 meters. You know, oh, it's 130 horsepower, so I would have to run it on the Baltro if I bought that. Let's say we do that then. JCB fast track for 100. Oh, just a 7R. That's 305 horsepower to 388. I don't really need that. So 40,000 for 14 meters. It's a little bit more expensive than the one that's for sale. That's the small one, but this is going to get the job done faster. But 130 horsepower, we are going to need the big tractor on it. But I think that will work for us. But we are going to have to go down to the store in the Valtra. Oh well. I mean, it obviously it makes sense to buy used equipment when we can, at least at this stage. Maybe later I'll be more inclined for not used equipment, the other type of equipment, the brand new equipment that doesn't break down quite so often. I don't have a breakdown mod added, but we are probably going to have to borrow some money before too much longer. As you can see, I got a little bit more leeway before I hit the hedges when I'm drinking tea and driving. Also, as I said, the hedges are full collision, so we're not going to be able to drive through them. So the case does not support narrow tyres, so maybe the case is not the tractor I want. I mean, it would be it's a good small yard tractor, but it's a good small yard tractor, and I'm not sure I can get away with a small yard tractor. Not one that's 117 horsepower. That's just too small. So the other brand I was considering as a starting brand would be the Kubota. Again, not sure which side. Obviously not the Orchard tractor, but one of the other two would be an option. I think it's two, might be three. I don't recall. Maybe we'll look in the store and see what Kubota equipment is available. I do have the Kubota equipment pack added. I do not have the other, the Glenleathann Vicon mods, which were created by Giants and have the same characteristics as the Kubota equipment. So we may see a lot of orange on this, or I might go for other things. As I said, we do have the horse aggravation pack, so we've got access to a couple of big things there. A lot of those are 180, 200 horsepower units, and so that works quite nicely because this tractor should be able to handle them all. But it does mean we are going to put a lot of hours on this tractor. Okay, so there is our windrower. Big giant windrower. Good size windrower, and we got a good size field, so I'm not too worried about using something this big. We will run around the back and fix it. I might need to fix the grain cart, although again that's not vital. That I believe is a lime cell point. And the trigger for this is going to be annoying. There we go. Gotcha. Repair 690, yes. I do not have any reduction in repair or damage rates or costs or rates, so we are paying full board on fixing things. Consequently, I would like to get equipment into the shed around the time it gets 70% to make sure that my general repair costs are as low as they can be. Okay, and we are going to see this trip a fair few times today, I think. So I don't actually need a weight on the front, but I have got to the point where I consider having a weight when you're not specifically fitting equipment that needs to fit on the front of a tractor, having a weight does help balance things. So buying a tractor with a weight limits its what's the word for it? It's flexibility, but it can work out a little bit cheaper having a weight rather than a 3-point. And if 90% of the time I'm carrying a weight, that would mean that any job that requires a piece of equipment on the front of this tractor can be used for that job, and we can use a tractor with a weight for a different job. But we'll see about that too. As I said, we are going to need to lime that grass field, and I haven't checked to see if it needs to be ploughed. If it does, we can use the Maize Plus field cultivator, which removes ploughed state from a field, a grass field. It also adds a layer of or a level of fertilization to the grass field, but since we're using precision farming, I don't think that will work. The maize probably needs fertilization as well, but we still have possibly 2 months to get that done. So we'll see how that works out as well. We are very, very, very low on cash now. So that's the other thing I like about here, is there is a little recess there that you can drive in and out, or it makes it slightly easier to turn into the field. Full-sized harvesters may end up being a problem, so we might end up with a small harvester. But hello. Oh, there we go. Finally. Ooh, it's all sorts of fancy. So yeah, as I said, we're pretty much not having a harvester this year, so I don't really need to worry too much about it. That's as far back as we can go, because then we hit the hedge.